really my pleasure to be with you, and thank you for Carl and your message. It was very inspirational. It reminded me of your mother has reminded me what I used to be when I was carrying my daughter whom Philip was talking about. So we, as mothers, even when things go wrong, when we don't know what to do, when there is no hope, you still find a hope in your child. That was happening to me in 1994. When she was dying of hunger and I was in the middle of nowhere, I did not know what to give to her. Still, I was thinking, I'll do my best, I'll take risk to beg, which was not easy even to beg in a country where you're not supposed to appear. But I could see hope in my daughter's life. So my mother was an inspirational woman. When we were young, we were 12 children and I was the youngest. She always had a song, always telling us, when you behave, you will be successful. So I remember during that period on the run, when I was crossing 4 countries on foot, and I did not have anything, how would I be successful? I was trying to behave anyway. As a refugee, you had no choice but to behave. But how would I be successful? How would my child be successful? So I was desperate. At the end, I took risk, came to the UK legally, and I ended up, I was put in an area in Kensington, where I couldn't find any other refugees around. It was very tough when I was not speaking English. I did not have any other refugee friends who would give me some directions I would need. I was desperate. So I remember those words of my mother. If you behave, but how would I behave in a country I don't know? Rwanda was not a colony of Britain. I did not know much about Britain. The culture, the language, of course, I didn't. It was desperation. So I tried to teach my daughter manners of Rwanda, but we behave, but what we call virtues in Rwanda are not virtues in Britain. So that time, the internet was not very common to me. It was very hard. I was going to the library to learn manners of Britain with books. It was not enough. Nobody was mentoring me. I kept on teaching my daughter manners of Rwanda. And then she would go to school, say, oh, you don't do this here, you do that. First of all, you don't speak a language. You don't speak our language. How would you be successful? So I started asking friends, do you know any book about the British culture, the British manners that I can teach my daughter, please? So they started giving me some tips. This is how we do things. This is how we behave. But that was not enough. I wanted really to excel in it, that I wanted my daughter to excel. I knew I had lost a lot. I knew I missed a lot, but I was hoping my daughter to be successful. Indeed, that helped me a little bit. But when I had 2 other children, I wanted more. I wanted now my children who were born in England to learn from the ground, from the land they were in, and to grow like British people. So that's how I ended up at the British School of Etiquette to learn more. I really was very curious. What can I teach my children? How can this be? I had already seen that my daughter's manners, the little I could teach her, the little I could learn from the neighbors and friends now, helped her to go to that school to be successful in her age. But then how about my 2 young ones who were born there? I wanted them to really excel. That's my motto. It was my motto. So I went there, I learned. Every time I come from the class, I come and put my children at the table. I teach them everything I learned. This is how I did. So later on, after I did the school, everyone was saying, your children behave very well, but not only that, they're very talented. So there was this school I heard about in Switzerland, one of the top schools in Europe. I said, why can't I take my children there? I believed in their manners, I believed in their attitude and also their brain. Why can't I take them there? Everyone was telling me, you can't, they can't pass. The manners there, they're very strict, they can't. I said, I trusted them, let me take them. I took them. The first thing that impressed the examiners were the manners, the attitude those children had. They passed the exam before they write anything, really. So that continued. Not only that, they got a scholarship. This is their fourth year. So from that time, I learned that good manners, behaviors can open doors for you. So later on, I found out my children, as they excel in that school, the school have asked me to be mentoring parents, to be teaching them how to teach their children to behave. And because of that, I got a kind of job as a consultant. And that's how I ended up moving to Switzerland. Now I'm a resident in Switzerland. But how could I think as a refugee that time that my daughter would be where she is now, that my young children, whom I raised up as a single mother, could be those ones that me, on that status of refugee, a despised status everywhere, could become a person who is needed, who is wanted to be a mentor of those privileged mothers. So manners can make a door, can open doors no one can open for you. So thank you very much.